I'm Chanala, and this is the weekly squeeze breakdown on Moral Edge. I want you to try something with me. Close your eyes if you're not driving, and imagine that you're going to start your life over. Not in the next city, not in a different apartment. I mean, from scratch. Different country, different language, different bureaucracy, different school system, different postal system, which if you've dealt with Israeli bureaucracy, you know is its own kind of spiritual test. You're going to take your kids, your boxes, your grandmother's candlesticks, your work situation, your health insurance nightmare, and you are going to rebuild everything. On purpose, by choice. What would make you do that? What would have to be true about where you are leaving or about where you are going for that decision to make sense? Because here's what most people don't realize. Jews have been asking that question for 3,000 years, and the answer has always been the same. Something pushed and something pulled. The push has looked like a lot of things across history. Expulsions, pogroms, inquisitions, 2,000 years of being told you're a guest in someone else's country, and having that reminder delivered in ways that range from uncomfortable to unsurvivable. Jews left Spain in 1492 with whatever they could carry, onto ships whose destinations were uncertain, because the alternative was worse. Jews left the shtetls of Eastern Europe for the port of Hamburg, then steerage class across the ocean, then the chaos of Ellis Island because the Cossacks were coming and the villages were burning. Jews left Yemen and Morocco and Iraq with almost nothing because the countries they'd lived in for 1,000 years suddenly decided that they don't belong. And through all of it, through the boats and the borders and the bribery and the walking through deserts, the pull was always the same. The land, Eretz Yisrael, a place that existed in the Jewish imagination as a living promise long before it existed as a modern state. Jews prayed towards Jerusalem 3 times a day for 2 millennia. They said, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, at the end of every Passover Seder, in every country they ever lived in. The land was not a metaphor. It was a direction. And now, picture the same journey in 2026. But you're not coming on a ship. You're at Ben Gurion Airport on an El Al flight, probably slightly delayed, eating a surprisingly good kosher meal. You land and there's the ritual, the actual ritual where the new Olim, the new immigrants, they walk off the plane, they walk off last and the entire flight applauds for them. Strangers clapping for strangers. Because everyone in that plane understands instinctively what just happened. Someone just came home. But this is 2026 and coming home is complicated. In the last 2 years, Jewish communities around the world have watched something shift. The Bondi attack in Sydney, Jews targeted in Amsterdam, campuses where Jewish students were told explicitly that they were not welcome if they had their wrong opinions about their own people's right to exist. Synagogues with security guards, parents having conversations with their children they never thought they'd have, and a slow grinding realization settling over communities from London to Los Angeles. This is not going away. And maybe, the question our grandparents asked is worth asking again. Where exactly is home? Aliyah numbers have been rising, yes, but not dramatically, not in the way that happens after a single catastrophic event, but steadily, quietly, in the way that happens when people make a considered decision rather than a panicked one. People are looking at Israel, at the war, at the noise, at the complexity, and still choosing it. Choosing it specifically because of all the complexity, not in spite of it. Because a country that is fighting for itself loudly and imperfectly and with enormous stakes is at least a country where your fight is the fight, where the story is yours. And today I have someone here who chose it. Before we dive in, let me properly introduce Ariel for anyone who hasn't found her yet, because she deserves more than a quick line. Ariel Gold grew up in Oakland, California, not exactly a neighborhood people associate with Torah scrolls and the Negev desert. She went through a cancer journey that, by her own description, cracked something open inside of her. She found her way to observant Judaism, came to Israel for seminary, and somewhere between the old city stones and the smell of challah on a Friday afternoon, something clicked that didn't unclick. She made Aliyah. She built a life here. She married. She has children who are growing up in Israel in the most complete sense of the world. Kids who argue in Hebrew and know which dates to pick off a tree and understand in their bones what it means to live in a place where your history isn't in a museum, but literally under your feet. And through her platform, My Israel Life, hashtag My Israel Life on Instagram, she brings thousands of people along for that. Not as propaganda, not as advocacy in the old shouting sense, but as witness, as evidence that a life fully lived in this land is something that looks like joy even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. She's one of the most honest people I've spoken to about what actually Aliyah costs and what it gives back, and why she would do it all over again. Ariel, welcome to Moral Edge.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy. We did an Instagram live yesterday.
We did.
And it was like 20 minutes in that I thought, we need a long form conversation.
Gosh, I knew we could
right?
talk for hours.
Okay, so thank you for working it out on short notice. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, let's start from the beginning, not the seminary story, not the Instagram story. I want to know the Oakland story.
Yeah.
I want to know, before any of this, who you were, before you knew Israel even existed on a map.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Good place to start. So I grew up in Oakland, and I went to a high school that was pluralistic. So
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. So
that's how East Coast I am.
Honestly, yeah. When I first came to Israel, like when I came to Israel for seminary, someone told me they were from the 5 towns, and I was like, what is that? And they were shocked. So yeah, it's like that in reverse. Basically, so I grew up in Oakland. I went to a pluralistic high school, which means that it's like technically non-denominational, which means that it's not Reform, it's not Orthodox, it's not conservative. No one determines what it is. So I went there, and my first 2 years in 9th and 10th grade, I wasn't religious, and it was great. Like I could wear whatever I wanted. I, could eat whatever food I wanted. My friends and I were bringing in ham and cheese sandwiches to our Jewish school, and Hebrew was not a requirement in the school because.
So what was it? What was the Jewish part?
It's a good question. They had, what was the Jewish part?
Jewish money paying tuition.
Exactly. But you just had to identify as Jewish to go.
Right.
So there were some non-Jewish students there. And yeah, the head of the Judaic Studies department taught the course on biblical criticism. And I actually had 2 religious friends that took the course. They were my only religious friends in the class, and they became not religious after that course. So yeah, they stopped keeping Shabbat after that.
That's
so
apicorsis.
Yeah, that's
what's the name of the course?
Biblical criticism.
That is next level. That is next level. The Jews are paying for that in America. Oh boy.
It's basically the epitome of the Bay Area. It's like your brain is so open-minded that it falls out. That is like what we had the whole time. We actually had a speaker come in that she spoke about how someone murdered her husband and her child in front of her, and talked about the importance of forgiveness. And now she like adopted the killer, and now she's like best friends with the killer. Right. So it's that type of mindset.
And they killed her cat and ate it for dinner.
Yeah, and she loves them. Right. That is the type of thing that I grew up with. And I think something within me, it didn't sit right with me. So before that, when I was in 8th grade, I went to it was Jewish school. It was a modern Orthodox elementary school, but I would say 80 to 90% of the families that sent there were not themselves modern Orthodox. So it was just that it was kind of run by those people, which I appreciate, and I actually thought it was a really great school. So in 8th grade, they took us to Israel. And I don't remember it at the time, but I felt there was something in my soul that just connected. I saw the soldiers, and I was just like in awe. I just thought like these people are sacrificing everything for me. And How did you make that connection though? Was there an intrinsic value that Israel had in your home growing up? You said your parents weren't practicing. What was your relationship with Israel? You just knew that it was the homeland of the Jewish people, or the biblical land of the Jewish people? I'm telling you, I think it was just something in my soul. Like so many of these things that I'm going to share with you, like everyone always asks for logic behind it. I don't think that there is logic behind it. I'm telling you that there's something that I think when you want to connect, God opens you up to that. It's not something that I can really give you a realistic explanation for. Yes, like in my upbringing, like I did not have a connection to that. I thought Israel was this like magical place that was basically like this land that followed Torah and everyone was religious. I didn't know what it meant to be like a secular Jew. Like I had heard my mom's friend who lived 45 minutes away, she was like, oh yeah, some Israelis came and they moved to our area and they came to our school. And I was like, why would they go to your school? It's not religious. And I didn't know. I don't even know how old I was.
But you know what? I didn't know that either. I remember coming to Israel as a young teen and being a little taken aback that they were Jews who spoke Hebrew and could open up a Torah and still weren't following it. Like, what is your excuse?
But you know what? And
now we understand, obviously, and we're going to talk at length about the culture here and the people. And
because like it's not that they're not religious; it's just that they're
religious differently.
Exactly, they are religious differently. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So I saw Israel then, but I was in 8th grade. I was like 12 years old, 13. Like, what am I going to do then? So I think it was at that point that my soul really opened up. And then when I went to high school, I became popular and I was, amongst the girls. And the number one goal for like being a high school girl was just like how many boyfriends can you have? Like, are you going to be the one with like the nice hot boyfriend in school? Like, are you like, that was basically just the only question that we had on our mind. So that was obviously the only
pressure.
It really was. Yeah. So, on the weekends we would all go shopping and then, go to school trying to impress the boys. So when I started to have these questions, I always loved philosophy and learning about, like why do things happen? So I started watching like TED Talks because a lot of times TED Talks would give me those answers, like have these like, big-minded, big life questions.
Life-shifting. Yeah.
Exactly. So I started watching that. Like my soul was clearly hungry and thirsty for something, and that's what I found. So I found that, and then I had actually like this rabbi from NCSY, he would try and, talk to me and try and get me to come to like some of their NCSY events. And finally I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll come to an event, but just because like my friend is also going to be at this event. So I'm going to go.
Reluctantly. But why? Because you just didn't know anything about them.
I just figured it was like some like religious Jewish thing. And I'm like, they're probably going to try and make me religious. Like I feel bad. Like they're not going to do it to me. So like, why would I waste their time, So I ended up going, and it was to a latte and learn. So like they bought you whatever Starbucks you wanted, and then you got to hang out with your friends and like talk about, I had to listen to a class. So I went, and I just remember like my mouth was like wide open the whole time. I was like, this is so cool. Like, yes, this is exactly what I want. Like I want the answers to these questions about like what happens after you die. Like I always thought that the moral questions of like, if this person, the classic question of like, if you're driving a train and if you could, veer the train and only kill one person or stay on the path and kill 5, what should you do? And I just remember hearing that thinking, that is such a good question. Like it's such a, and the more that I discovered, I realized like Judaism has these answers. Torah has these answers.
And also these are questions that our young people are asking.
Yeah.
I feel like our school systems are, but not abroad, are maybe not aware of how deep and how self-aware and conscientious and conscious our young people are. I mean,
young people are smart.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if we're the ones, not we, okay, you are the ones using all these social media platforms and growing with this technology. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And we see even this reverse, the pendulum swing in America, where you have this counter force of pro-conservative youth that are all about, obviously supporting Trump and Ben Shapiro and that whole, what they call far-right movement, but it's not really far-right. It's just clarity. I'm actually really happy to hear that these kind of programs can trigger something like the change, your entire life changed after that visit, I imagine. But there are so many things that I want to get into before we even begin the conversation about making Aliyah and living in Israel now. Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about the cancer. I know that that's a very personal subject. You've shared parts of it publicly.
Yeah.
I want to understand, was there a direct line between that experience and coming towards Jerusalem and Israel, or is that like too neat a story?
Oh, totally. Okay. So I'll kind of continue my previous story and that will weave in perfectly.
Great.
So after I started going to all of those classes, I started to, the rabbi suggested, you should go to Israel. I think it would really gain a lot from going to Israel. So I went on this program called TJJ that was highly subsidized. I think it was like $2,000 to go to Israel for a month for the summer, like including flights, everything. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go. And it came to like the day before and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm just not going to go. Like, why would I go?
Get cold feet?
And yeah, like go in this program that I knew absolutely no one. Like to go to a foreign country, like what am I doing there?
Too extreme.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was like, I almost backed out.
Okay.
But then I got to the airport and like I met one of the NCSY advisors and I was like, okay, I think I can do this.
Started warming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went and gosh, this trip was just so crazy. So the first 2 weeks of the trip, I totally I totally like went off the rails, like in the opposite way. Like I met a boy and I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna tell my friends when I come back. Like I met a boy, and
that will be the point of the trip. Like right. Israel became a side note.
Right. This is gonna be my summer. That like I'm with this boy, and like
my 16-year-old once told me, Mom, I really just want to have an aesthetically pleasing summer.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically that, but like the equivalent to like, I don't know, 16 years ago, however old I am. So I was like all excited to like be able to tell my friends about this. And then I realized like, so then the boys, one day they went to the Ariz mikvah in Sfat. And the advisors, the NCSY advisors told...
Just to explain to our audience who might not know, that is a pool of water in Tzfat, and it's a minhag where people come from all over the world to dunk. It's freezing cold, but it's a spiritual experience to cleanse yourself and spiritually prepare yourself for prayer. Yeah.
And when you come out of the mikvah, it's like you're pure. Like you're so pure for the first time in a long time. So because of that, the advisors challenged the boys. They said, okay, you're going into this mikvah. Come out and let's see who can be Shomer Negia the longest. So that means
who can refrain from hooking up,
basically, but not even like literally just physical touch, like holding someone's hand, like giving them a high five, like anything.
Like we're going to be stringent. We're going to take a level upon ourselves.
Yeah.
And what was the reaction?
So this guy came back and he was like, "Hey, Ariel, like I can't touch you," and I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's like our entire relationship.
I signed the pledge.
Yeah. Like this is what I'm telling my friends.
Right.
And I noticed that. And so it was whoever touched the girls first had to buy all of the boys ice cream. So he didn't want to have to buy everybody ice cream. So
I love the honesty, the integrity.
Right.
Okay?
Right. The purity.
We're in Israel after all. You just came out of the Arizal's mikvah.
Right. So it was like, I don't know, maybe another like 6 hours that we didn't touch. And that 6 hours changed my life because I realized I did not like this boy. Like I liked nothing about him. I thought that like he was like, actually the more I like zoomed out, I was like,
I don't even want to talk to him.
I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to touch him. Like he's kind of gross.
That's fascinating.
Like and it was this touch that blinded me. And I thought that Shomer Negia, refraining from touch, is the craziest topic, the craziest like law that Judaism has. So I'm like, wait, if there was something so smart and deep in something that
what
I
else
thought, that I thought was so crazy, I'm like, maybe there's something else here. So I began to actually learn more, and I decided like this is what I really want to do. And my advisor, bless her heart, she like had so many different clothes. Like she always she was a total Jap, like in the best way. And I loved her. And so she was like, so at the end of the trip, she's like, I wore all my clothes like in Israel in the summer. Like, I'm just going to get rid of them. So I was like, okay, I'll take them. So now I had all of these clothes that were actually modest as opposed to like my tank tops and booty shorts that, I just thought that I should wear. And I took them home and I just put them on. And then it came to Friday night and I was like, well, I can't be being dressed in these like modest clothes
and ignore Shabbat.
Right. And like not keep Shabbat. Like, what does that mean? So then I just kept Shabbat because I was like, okay, I guess that's something that I have to do.
Was there a program that weekend or you just didn't touch your phone?
No, I came back. Like I was when I was on the summer program, I they kind of encouraged you to keep Shabbat. So like we kind of all did for the most part. But when I came back, my grandparents, who were actually like, they were very wealthy at the time. And whenever I saw them, they always offered to like buy me clothes. And so I was like, great, perfect. Like I'll get all of these modest clothes and I'll go shopping. And then they're like, okay, but we're only going to take you shopping on Saturday. So I was like,
there's a clause.
Right. So I was like, what do I do? Like, do you think God would want me to buy modest clothes on Shabbat? Because like then I could have them for like the rest of my life, like, or should I not?
Maybe I'll just break Shabbat once and get way more. Right.
Exactly. So it was like these questions that I was trying to think. And I ended up like being in my modest clothes, like I was meeting them in New York. So like on the subway, using my subway card in these modest clothes. But I was like, okay, but I don't actually feel comfortable buying anything. So then I didn't buy anything, but I like went into the stores. It was just such this like.
I think it's so nice to hear this because I imagine there are people watching who are also slowly taking on levels of Judaism. And it's a very strange place to be when you're not all in. Not that any of us are always in 100%. There's 613 mitzvos, 365 days a year. So we all are filled with self-doubt that we're not doing enough. We aren't enough. But to that space when you're transitioning, and that's what we're going to talk about with Aliyah. As soon as you tell us your story about your sickness and your illness, I want to hear about that and how you pass that. But I think the big part of the story so far is these transitions that you keep making. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay.
Thank you. So I returned back to my high school and I was excited for my friends to welcome me back, catch up on the summers. And it was not what I thought it would be. My friends saw Judaism and they were really intimidated by it. And they saw that I was living such a different life. I was no longer, touching my guy friends, and they did not like that. They thought that it was rude. They thought that you don't become, right. But they think you're holier than thou. Exactly. And, if I wanted to hang out with them and go to Starbucks after school, they were like, well, Ariel, why aren't you getting anything? And I was like, well, I keep kosher now. And, they would say back, well, do you think we're not as good as you because we don't? And it was just this whole process that.
How old were you?
15.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was.
That's like you're at the pinnacle of your social, like all that. Yeah. Where you fit in, it's so, so important. So to challenge that.
And it was going really against, it was just so against the grain. But thank God, I had support of, I guess my NCSY community. And that's really kind of what got me through it. What was getting me through it even more so was knowing that the next summer I was going to be going on an NCSY all-girls summer program in Israel. And I was going to be learning Torah and learning what my soul just so craved. And I was seriously counting down the days all year so that I could be with people that finally understood me. So 6 days before I was supposed to fly to Israel, I was diagnosed with cancer. And that was one of the craziest days of my life because I did not really know what was happening. I was 15 years old and I said, okay, but the doctor came in to tell me, okay, well, you most likely have cancer. We have to do a biopsy. But
you're not feeling well?
Yeah, I had this crazy symptoms. I was itchy everywhere, all over my body. And it wasn't just oh, you're a little itchy. I couldn't sleep at night and my skin was torn apart because I was just itching it constantly. So it was that I was losing a lot of weight and I didn't mean to, but my mom thought, oh, she just started keeping kosher. She's probably not eating as much. I was so tired all the time, but also I was a high school kid. Of course I'm tired all the time.
Right. You don't think about symptoms when you're that age.
Right. You never think that this type of thing could happen to you. So after, I went to go see an allergist and she said, you know what, I don't think this is an allergy. So she did a chest x-ray and she saw that there was a tumor sitting above my heart. And that's when I went to go get a scan and then they found it. So that journey was absolutely crazy.
Did you feel like everything came to a crashing halt?
Oh my God, 100%. Yeah. I think that I couldn't have done it without God. I think that if I hadn't become religious that year before, I don't know how I would have gotten through it.
It's so powerful because when you embrace the idea that you have a creator and there's a higher being that runs the world, your first reaction might be, well, if you were running the show, how could you give me cancer?
Right.
And I'm seeing now that your first reaction was like, oh, I'm in a good place now.
Well, it took me a while to get there.
So tell us about, because I mean, the psychological and emotional experience, the burden of going through chemotherapy and everything at that age.
Yeah.
How did you find space for God? And it was a new relationship. It was so new.
It was seriously my only option. Like, I think that when you pray so much, when you go to every doctor possible, when you try and use all of the resources that you have to try and feel good and get better, and you realize that this is the best case scenario and this is the best that you are going to feel and this is the only way out, then God is seriously your only option. Like, if you get to, and I think that is, and I remember feeling so close to God like I had never felt before in my life, because I was going through, and God was the only thing that I could rely on.
Who were your parents on all of this? Like, how was it? I mean,
where were
you
they?
Have these conversations with your parents, and you're going through this, the fears, the anxiety, and here you are believing in God. Were you comforting them?
So, I mean, my mom, she was definitely scared. I don't know how much it comforted her. She was, I think she had to handle it her own way. My dad was more traditional in the sense that he does believe in God, and he does believe that all of this, obviously any parent watching their child go through this is like absolutely horrible, especially when there was a time that I didn't wake up one morning and my mom realized, and she immediately took me into the hospital, and they found out that I went into septic shock and I had to be into the ICU. Like, I was admitted to the ICU for a couple weeks because the chemo had totally just drained my body and I had gotten some type of infection. And I think that when you're just like, honestly, like on the brink of death, you realize that what else are you going to turn to when the doctors are already doing everything that they can? God is really your only option. And I think I learned that lesson the hard way.
They say there's no atheist in a foxhole.
Exactly.
Foxhole. So when you are faced with your, excuse me, when you're faced with the fact that everything is up in the air and unpredictable, and we're not destined necessarily to live forever, then you have to dig deep. So you start developing this relationship with Hashem.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you come here to seminary. So you tell us, like,
my parents didn't want me to go to seminary.
Well, I'm sure they never want you to leave their site ever again.
Of course.
So you went into remission. You had surgery. What was
So there wasn't really a surgery besides for the biopsy that they had to take. I had chemotherapy, I had radiation, and then I finished my senior year of high school. And
so I imagine the expectation was that you would be able to fight this because you were young and healthy. Yeah. So they were positive and optimistic.
We were positive, but it was always scary. Like,
the fears, like, because you just don't know. And also, it's just like you didn't know that the cancer appeared. You don't know when another cell can appear. Like, it's
exactly. Yeah. So thank God, like, I got through it. And even though it was like one of the hardest times of my life, I got through it. And actually, like, I remember being in the hospital bed, and I like kind of guilted my parents into letting me go to Israel. I was like, okay, like, if I get through this, like, please just let me go to Israel. Like, let me go to Israel for the year. I just really want to, like, because before I had cancer, they weren't going to let me. So finally, I guess cancer did its trick and let me go to Israel. And so finally they said, okay. So I applied late because I didn't know if I was going to be healthy enough to go. And it happened to be that, like, someone had just dropped out of the seminary that I wanted to go to, like, that day before. And then I emailed them the day after. So they were like, you know what? Yeah, like, we'll accept you. And I ended up going to seminary. I went to Tiferet in Ramat Beit Shemesh. And that really changed my life, because then I really, really learned about Israel. And because I didn't grow up religious, I didn't have all these preconceptions about the Torah. I just kind of like came in and read the Torah from beginning to end. And I was like, hey, this kind of just seems like God wants us to be in Israel. Like, the entire Torah is just about God, like, creating the world and then telling Abraham, okay, lech lecha, like, go to Israel, go to the land that I'm going to show you. And then we get exiled, and it's all about how to get back.
It's actually fascinating that you became religious as an American here, because the Torah is so, the whole premise of the Torah is our relationship with Israel. You said when you came in that you feel this, like, spiritual connection, right? This intense It's because we are one. The Torah, Hashem, Israel. I mean, that's the whole premise of our religious and Judaic system, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that you tapped into that, and on top of it, you're a cancer survivor. I mean, you're now officially a Baal Tshuva, and freshly an American living in Israel.
Yeah.
So these three things, you are strong. You are something. You are really something.
I really think it's
Give
just
this episode a big thumbs up for this incredible woman. I'm just like, I mean, life is full of challenges, and we know now that everyone has something,
right?
But not everyone gets, has so much to process at such a young age.
Right. But seriously, that's exactly it. Everybody has something. And so I guess like this can kind of lead us into the conversation about Aliyah that I really think that, when someone says like, oh, my life is too hard, like I really have to stay in America, I can't make Aliyah at this time.
Like, dude.
Yeah, I'm like, I did it and I did it by myself. And I'm not saying, and I really believe that when you do something that God wants you to do, He helps you. You get through it. Like you are only as strong as you think. If you don't think that you can do it, then you can't. You have to believe in yourself. Like God is going to help you. Believe in God, believe in yourself, and then you'll be able to do it.
Sure. And I always made, as far as my Aliyah process, I made it a relationship with God. I'm taking one step. I can handle one step today. One step towards Israel. Everything else, how we're going to afford it, how it's going to fall into place, where we're going to live. I can't decide now. Maybe I should, but that's gonna be in your hands. And He becomes a partner in your Aliyah.
Oh yeah.
God becomes a partner in your Aliyah, especially if you see it. And
I seriously just spoke to someone today and I said, how do you make money for yourself? And he said, God. And I was like, no, come on. Like, how do you actually make money? I'm like, of course God gives you your money, but how do you make money in Israel? And he was like, no, you have to believe me. I'm in minus right now in my bank account. And I said,
the whole country's in minus.
The whole country.
If everyone's minus, if everyone couldn't rely on their minus, we'd all be broke. I mean, that's just the reality. So we all are living on borrowed.
Right. And so he said, and so he showed me his bank account and it's minus. And I'm like, but you're this like amazing guy, who I thought was so successful. How could it be? He's like, I'm telling you, Hashem pays me every month. He's like, 1 month, like I just get, like I overpaid my tax this month. Like, 3 years ago, 70,000 shekel in my bank account. So I just have that. Another month, like, oh, this place wants to hire me to do this. That's another like $20,000. It's like, he was saying Hashem really pays for things. Obviously, you have to do your hishtadlut. You have to try. You have to use your efforts to the max of your ability.
But it's not impossible because He runs the world. I want to ask you though, how you made it possible for your parents to let you out of their house. I mean, it must be until today one of the hardest things. You have children. Yeah. They're not here.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it was actually really crazy. When I went to seminary, the condition in my hospital bed, when I said to them, okay, let me go to seminary, they said, okay, you can go on condition that you make a promise and you sign a paper that you will come back afterwards and that you won't stay in Israel.
It's like the promise we're making with Iran. We're not going to destroy you, but you cannot have nuclear weapons ever.
Right. A good compromise. And so I said, you know what? Sure, I'll do it. Like just anything to get me to Israel. So I did. And then it comes, and then I'm like, okay, I really want to do a second year in Israel. Like, please, like mom and dad, please let me. So they say like, okay, but like, we're going to add to this paper that you have to come back afterwards. You have to come back and you have to do college.
Okay, but you didn't.
So I said, exactly.
Oh, you came back for college?
No. So I said, okay.
Okay.
So I signed the paper again. And then it was my second year, my Shana Bet. And I was like, I told my rabbi, he said, I can't go back. Like, I have to stay here. And I said, but listen, what do I do? I signed this paper for my parents.
Keep it of aim. You have to respect your parents.
What do I do?
So many moral and ethical conundrums in your young life.
Yep.
Okay.
And so he said, you know what? I don't know. I have to call like this Gadol Hador. So I went in his office and he's like, let's call tomorrow at like 1 p.m. I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, what is my life going to be? Is this if this rabbi says that I can't move to Israel, what am I going to do? So I go into his office. I'm like shaking. He calls this rabbi. I don't even know who it was. And he goes, and the rabbi says, he's like, are you serious? This isn't even a question. He's like, you can't sign a paper that goes against the Torah. Like, you can't just sign something away and say, okay, I promise I won't keep Shabbat. And then that's valid.
Okay.
Like, of course not. Like living in Israel is one of the most fundamental things that you can do as a Jew. You have to. It's not even a question. He's like, why'd you even call? So from then on, that was like, again, one of the happiest days of my life that I was like, okay, I can be here. And it was really hard for my parents. It was really, really, really hard in the beginning. They did not support it.
I just want to send your parents some hugs and kisses. We love you from Israel. We wish you were here.
Yes, actually, the craziest thing. So my dad really, like, both of my parents were very against my Aliyah. They said, we're not going to, like, we love you and we'll support you emotionally, but we're not going to support you financially. Like, we are not going to use our hard money for something that
we don't support, that we're not into.
Right.
We don't want.
And I was like, you know what? That's totally valid. Like, that's really hurts me emotionally that, like, you don't support my decisions, but, like, that's valid. And they are some of the best parents in the world. And when I first called them on the phone to tell them that I was making Aliyah, they hung up the phone on me. And that's something that they would never do in their life. Both of my parents were vehemently against it. And I won't get into all the details, but I'm just going to say this, that you never know what God has planned for you and what God has planned for your family. If you are thinking of making Aliyah by yourself and you're like, there's no way in a million years that my parents will ever make Aliyah, then you actually don't know, because a couple months ago, my dad actually just made Aliyah. And
he's here now?
He's here. He just made Aliyah. My parents got divorced.
Oh, Mazal Tov on both things. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really such a great decision for them. And
who would have known?
Who would have known that he was like, you know what, actually, like, maybe I should be here. And it was through, like, after 10 years of questioning and seeing me here and realizing, like, maybe he should be here.
Listen, you're his daughter. You fell in love with it when you came here. I mean, it came from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, but let's move on, because we want to focus specifically on Aliyah, because I know people are watching and are like, well, how do I get myself there? Because I want to be your friends and I want to hang out with you girls. So how do we make that happen? Okay, so your platform on Instagram is full of beautiful and warm Erev Shabbat, experiences, and you show your set tables and your shopping and your kids and all the beautiful things that make life so special here.
Yep.
But Aliyah is also bureaucracy. It's learning Hebrew as an adult, which could be humiliating. It's watching your children struggle in ways that maybe they wouldn't have struggled in America. So let's talk a little bit about the price you paid to move here and the price you keep paying. Let's talk about the nitty gritty.
Right.
Because I know we could sit here and it's a beautiful day and we're talking and we're inspired, but there are some really hard, challenging moments.
Of course,
here.
But to whenever anyone says that, my first response is, yeah, but life's hard. Like, of course, moments in America would be hard too. Like,
but is it this hard?
I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't raise my kids in America. I raised my kids in Israel. And I think that that's such a blessing that I don't have anything to compare it to, which is why I think that the younger you are, the better it is to make Aliyah, because then you don't have to deal with any of these questions of comparing this to that. Why would you have to? Like, I mean, yeah, like right now, I'm dealing with something with the bank that I want to open a bank account for my business. And, I have to have my ID verified and it wasn't verified and I have to go back and forth and do all these things. But like, you tell me that wouldn't happen in America.
In America, you would just virtually open your bank account.
Right. Like, I guess.
There's certain shortcuts. No, I 100% agree. I remember when I lived in America, I had to take care of our health insurance and signing my kids up for preschool and anything we wanted to get. There's tons of bureaucracy wherever you live. There's no question about it. Here, though, it could seem a little harder so the hours are more erratic and it's the Hebrew, the online systems they're up and running, but a lot of them are challenging to navigate.
Right.
So yes, there's apps and everything. Sometimes it feels like there's too many apps because we're the startup nation and it's like everything's on an app. And I'm just like, someone talk to me. Get me someone on the phone. I don't want to talk on an app.
Totally.
Don't send me a WhatsApp message.
But I also think that, especially as Americans, and I think also like the younger generation just thinks everything is like magia li, which like, yeah, I deserve it. Like everything is for me.
Sounds
like
easy.
If I call a customer service line, they should pick up within 10 seconds. Like if they don't, then.
What do you mean? I was in the mall today. I went to Goldberry, to get a jacket. And the mall opens at 10 and all the stores were open at 10. And the young woman who runs the store, who happens to be an Arab woman, which is fine, lovely lady, at 10 o'clock, I was like, knock, knock, I need to buy a jacket. And she was just like, I'm not open now. And then she came to the door and she left the store, locked behind her, and she's like, I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'm like, what do you be back in 10 minutes?
Right.
The mall opens at 10.
Right.
But they don't really,
everyone just goes to whatever they want to do.
I just sat. I had a shake and I sat and I waited for 10 minutes till she came back.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
And
what are you going to do?
What I think that honestly, as annoying it is and as inconvenient as it is, like the world doesn't revolve around me. Like the world doesn't revolve around every person that makes Aliyah, like around every, like, yes, we have this expectation as Americans that like businesses are here to serve us. The customer is always right. But like, why? Like, why don't we just like not put all of our focus on these like little things that don't actually matter and just like focus on the bigger picture?
I just think, is it worth a fight? Like, is it worth a fight? Like if the cashier is being obnoxious, is it worth a fight? Like sometimes you just let people be people.
I think that like God puts things in your life that you can handle and that you need to face. Like I have not had for a long time any bureaucratic issues. Like I actually don't remember the last time I've had a bureaucratic issue that was like such a headache that I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on with Israel? Because I don't think that way. Why would I think that way?
You are amazing because I have cried so many times in the last few months working out my stuff. And usually it's human error. And I'm crying because it's my fault.
Right.
And then I just want someone else to come save me and no one's coming to save me and I'm just crying out of whatever.
I've had the same issues. Like I just got some Arnona bill from when I lived in Jerusalem 3 years ago.
I was in the area 3 times today, 3 times this week.
It's like 15,000 shekel. And I'm like, I thought I paid this bill. What am I supposed to do? I'm like calling the people saying, please, like, I don't know. And then I had a friend who's a lawyer who happened to have the email because he worked with someone. And then that was the only way I got the email to email her. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, how do I do this? But like at the end of the day, as much as I'm so like anxious about money and trying to figure out like how to plan my life here, it's just money. Like if we are doing the right thing, if you have the right perspective and you have enough confidence in yourself and your decisions and confidence in God, then why does any of that really matter?
And also the economy's tough everywhere.
It is.
Name me one person who's just like flying through without any care. I mean, everybody's working hard. The dollar is so weak compared to the shekel.
God, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think
if you believe in God and you believe that God decides how much money that you make each year, which is part of believing in God.
On Rosh Hashanah, it's declared exactly to the penny.
Right. So then why would he give you less money if you live in America?
Right. Not going to punish you for making Aliyah.
Exactly.
If anything, he'll reward you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You might end up a podcast host on a very popular Israel-based show. Okay. October 7th happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were here.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something that doesn't have a comfortable answer.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any moment around that you thought, holy cow, I bit off more than I can chew. I regret being here. I put my kids in danger. Not because you stopped believing in Israel, but because you're a mother and mothers are allowed to be terrified.
Of course.
So speak a little bit about what October 7th was for you.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I think it was like the days after October 7th that, there was talks about like, okay, if you're American, you should try and leave. And my mom was trying to tell me, she's like, okay, like I'm so nervous for you. Like I want you to try and like get on a plane and go to the airport and, come to us. Like you could just come, you can live with us for however long you need. And I thought about it. I think for 10 minutes and I was like, you know what? Like maybe this is the best thing to do for my kids. Maybe this is the best thing to do for me and my husband. Like maybe we should. And after 10 minutes, I was like, wait a second. Like, what is the point? Like, what am I running from? Like, if God wants me to, God forbid, die, then I'll die in Israel. Like, it's not like if I flee to...
But you can't run away from the bullet that has your name on it.
Exactly. You can't run away from God. If we are in the place that God wants us to be, no matter how challenging it is, there's no choice. Like, this is the option. And if you think about it in a way, obviously October 7th was the worst thing to happen. If you are here, and thank God, like my husband did not have Miluim, I am here. I have help with my kids. Like we live in a house with a mamad, with a bomb shelter built in. Like we're actually lucky. We're living through history. We are living through times that it's going to be talked about in history books thousands and thousands of years from now. Like we are a part of the wars that are building the nation of Israel. And people in America don't get to say that. Jews in America and outside of Israel don't get to say that. You can say you're going to tell your kids that you marched in a march, to free the hostages in New York one time, that you posted and shared on social media a story that Stand With Us shared, like, oh, free the hostages now, and like with a heart. That's going to be your contribution to society. That's not going to be mine. My contribution is going to be being here with my kids in bomb shelters, saying that we are here no matter what. And I'm really proud of that. And I think that no matter what happens to me and my family, Bezrat Hashem, all of Am Yisrael will be safe. But that's going to be our story.
Wow, this is powerful stuff. This is really powerful stuff. We're having this really great conversation. You shared with us your journey to making Aliyah. A quick overview. If you want to know more, follow My Israel Life on Instagram, and I'm sure you'll see everything about Ariel and her family, and you'll get a really candid and joyful view of what life is like here in Israel. So you came to Judaism as a teen, but really as an adult, because I would say after Sem is really when you established yourself as someone who's Orthodox, observant, right? In that respect. Okay. Which means you chose it consciously.
Yeah.
Like you chose it consciously. So do you ever feel exhausted, frustrated? I mean, religion's a lot. Faith is a lot.
It really
Living in
is.
Israel is a lot. Being a mother is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Being a human is a lot.
Yeah.
Being a woman is a lot.
Oh my
so
gosh. Yeah.
exactly. So, and then, your spouse and a friend and a million other things. Okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, not everything is, like you said, not everything is related to Israel. These things are consistent wherever you're going to live and raise kids and be married and be in a relationship. But speak a little bit about your identity here and how being in Israel supports all these different parts of you. So you never feel to yourself, oh, I'll be a better mother in America, or I'd be a better wife in America. I feel like there's so much, there's so many support systems here.
Yeah.
And especially because, like you keep saying, God is your compass.
Yeah.
So speak a little bit about Israel, your relationships, and your role as a Jewish woman.
Yeah. I mean, I think that as a Jewish woman in general, I find it really difficult, like, to balance everything. Like, if it were up to me and money wasn't an option, like wasn't something that I had to worry about, I would just have like as many kids as I can and just stay home with them all the time and just raise my family quietly. Like, I wouldn't want to do anything. I always say, like, I don't think that women should work. Like, I seriously think that women should be home and with their children. And
well, I don't want to say that women shouldn't work. Women should work if they want. They should pursue careers if that's their
They
dream.
shouldn't have to.
They shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to be such a financial burden. There's so many
1000%.
Yeah, there's just so much else going on. For a woman.
It's so much, like, especially just to keep your house in order, to, like, there's a reason that, like, that I think Judaism values, like, or Haredi Judaism values, like, that time period, like, what was it, like 100 or 200 years ago, that, like, they keep to their same dress, and, like, women, I don't know if they, whatever. I think that
Talking
women,
about, like, in the shtetl.
Yeah, like, women should just, like, keep the house, or, like, obviously if, like, I think
you're going to make some liberals and progressives
very
upset. I want to just clarify, because you are a strong Jewish woman.
Yeah.
You run your Instagram. You're not filtered.
Yeah.
You don't have a spouse who tells you what to do, when to do, how to do it. You make your own decisions. You make your own money. So you're just saying that if you had we make
our right, like, we make all of our decisions together, but I think that, like, we both have the ability to do the work if we needed to.
You'd rather be home with the kids.
I would rather be home with the kids.
Collecting anemones and counting sheep.
Right.
On the hills.
So, but I do think that, like, I have some really good, friends that are doctors, and they're women, and they're incredible at what they do. And I know so many women that do incredible things, and they work very hard, and power to them. If they want to do that, then that's incredible.
I think Israeli feminism is different than American feminism.
I totally agree. It's so different. If you, like, I'm not saying that women should only have the option to stay in the kitchen, have no ability to do anything else. I think that women have such a power to them. They have such, like, a strength that I think that feminism in the Western world, like, really neglects. They just say, okay, women should be like a man, but, like, but really, like, I think women have their,
like, women.
Right. Like, we're amazing. Women are great. Like, we have our own strengths that I don't think we get to utilize so much in this modern world.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't. I mean, how do you feel, let's say, about women being in the army
I think it's amazing. Like, I think especially before you have children, like, you can do whatever, like, do whatever you want.
Travel, explore.
Right. Like, then it's
learn
amazing.
About yourself, yeah.
But I think that once you have children, like, the fact that I, only get to see my kids a few hours a day, and they're gone, and I'm working the rest of the time, like, that's so sad to me.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be with my kids. I want to be able to go on adventures with them, and to, teach them things from me, not from their gun, not from their teacher, like, who's just, like, showing.
No, the schools are very good here. And I actually think that the preschool teachers are very maternal, and, like, We don't have rules here. You're not allowed to hug
oh
kids.
my God,
yeah,
that's so ridiculous. Yeah.
But you're saying that, listen, obviously we're all striving for the ultimate. The ultimate is that one spouse can work, make a living, and the other spouse can build her dream home.
I mean, I don't think everyone's striving for that, but like, I think that like there are definitely a good amount of women that do. And I wish that was the reality.
How can you make that happen? Can you make that happen through your Instagram? Is that something you're trying?
I don't know. Like I'll see. Like I think that I need to have my morals set properly first to say, okay, like let me do something good for the Jewish world. Let me try and like put a good message out there. And then I think like my personal desires need to come second, even though like that's not how I'm used to thinking. I'm kind of learning as you go through life. Like, again, like I'm saying, like I'm learning every day how much God runs the world. And like, I think that I just have to follow that. Like you said, use God as my moral compass, and then everything else will follow.
I want to talk a little bit more about the Instagram. Mm-hmm. I love what you're doing. I think that there are not enough young people who show the joys, the ups, the downs, the complexities, the nuances, the experience of living here, raising kids here, which you do so beautifully. Do you worry ever about the gap between how you live and what you show? I mean, it comes across very authentic, but we all know that social media could be curated or whatever. So what is it that people are seeing on your Instagram that is just like your real life? And what is it maybe that they're not getting the full picture of and they should be aware of?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that there's some personal details. Like, obviously, I can't share everything. And like, everyone has to know. Like, I was talking to one of my other friends who's a content creator on Instagram. And I was like, what do you say when people say, like, when people come up to you in person, it's like, you know, maybe it's sometimes, is it awkward for you? And she was like, she's like, well, sometimes people come up to me and they say, oh my gosh, like, you're not at all like you are on Instagram.
Like, is that a compliment?
And she was like, I think that that's a big compliment, because why would I act the same to person one-on-one than I would in front of thousands of people? And I do think that there's something to that. I also think that there's something to the fact that, like, you never know what's going on. Even if I filmed every single second of my life, you never actually know. There's parts about my life that I don't share. There's parts about my husband's life, that my kids' life that we don't share, about, you know, our greater family life that...
Yeah, and people will see your stories. They'll cover the span of the week. But if you actually count them up, it ends up being like 10, 15 minutes over the course of 24 hours, 7 days.
Of course, it's nothing.
It's really just a little window.
Yeah.
But it's still very... honestly Israeli.
Yeah.
I don't think you sugarcoat. I think you're very clear with your followers that things are different here. You break it down for them. You spoke about buying a house here. Is that something you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, thank God. So we bought an apartment, and we're, thank you. And thank God. Like, that's
a pretty big achievement for a young couple.
It really is. Thank God. And like, we did it with no help from our parents and with nothing. And I think a lot of people do it with help from their family, whether it's like help in whatever way, like whether they don't have to pay for daycare because their family watches their children, or because their family gave them a lot of money, or whatever it is. Like, and I think that, you know, if my parents did that, I would take it. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, oh, I'm better than that, I wouldn't take it. If that was me, I would 100% take it.
Right. So if anyone's offering you money to buy a house, right, the answer is yes.
Right. Like, take it.
It's for a good reason. It's a holy reason.
Of course. But I also think, like, I show people that because it's possible. Everyone's like, oh, it's not possible. I've been saving up for this amount of time. I'm like, okay, so maybe get a financial advisor. Like, maybe if it's really a goal for you, and I'm not saying it needs to be a goal for everyone. It was a goal for me, and so I made it happen.
So anything you want badly enough, you're going to have to, blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, everyone wants to win the marathon. Exactly. Everyone wants to have a great body. Everyone wants to be successful. But you know what? It's the people who are behind the scenes, not posting on Instagram, up late at night, packing those boxes, schlepping, dealing, coping, and doing everything that it takes to succeed. There's no easy answers, but like you said consistently throughout the episode, when you have God in your corner, and he's in your corner whether you acknowledge him or not, you have a partner. You are not alone.
Yeah.
And really, there is nothing in this universe that can come your way, and like you've proven, that you can overcome.
Yeah.
And look how many things have changed for the better.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it today. If I would have told you when you were 15, you're going to be religious, you're going to be living in Israel, you're going to have survived October 7th, you're going to have a flourishing Instagram account, you're going to be on podcasts, you're going to be cancer free. I mean, all those things, you'd be like, where do I sign? Where do I sign? Right? So I love the attitude, and it's not because it was handed to you on a silver platter, and it wasn't because it was easy, and it wasn't because you had support.
Yeah.
It seems to me like every step of the way, the answer was no. And you were like, 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second. I want to be here. I believe that as a Jew, I have the right to be here and the responsibility to be here.
Totally.
And here you are. You're looking gorgeous. You are thriving. And I just bless you that everything should continue in a positive way. We're not quite done yet. I know people are wondering a few things. First of all, do you worry about the cancer coming back? And how does that weigh on you?
Yeah, of course I worry about it. Like, I think I like maybe like once every couple months, I like get something, I feel a little sick, or I have like, I feel maybe a lump that's really just because I have a cold, and I get worried about it. My family doctor knows that I like email him every couple months. I'm like, wait, do you think that this is like, I had cancer, right? Like, do you think everything's okay? He's like, okay, yeah, everything's fine. And like,
live your life, just live your life.
Right. Like, thank God it really has been, good. Obviously, of course I worry about it. And I try and, I was actually vegan for a long time because I read a book that like, and I watched documentary on Netflix that showed that like, okay, like if you're vegan, then like you're least likely to have cancer come back. Cause I was really scared about it.
Sure.
And I'm now trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to work out, but that's like kind of new because I want
something we all need to do.
Right. It's part of my hishtadlut. It's part of me trying to actually, do something to take control of my life so that if God forbid, which won't happen, something, I get sick with something, then I can say, okay, you know what, God, like I did what I needed to do. And like, if this is what you want from me, then this is what it is. And
wow, that's just next level. Really, I'm super impressed. Okay, so last question, and it's the one I say for people I actually trust with such a question. What do you believe about the land of Israel that you couldn't prove to anyone? Okay, you couldn't prove it. You couldn't argue someone into believing it. It's in a deeper place. It's something you just know.
Wow. It's a really good question.
It might be the first thing that comes to your head.
Right. Like I was going to say, like, I really just believe that Israel just takes care of you. Like you have to.
So good. Israel takes care of you.
Like,
I love it.
I was seriously like walking down the street one time and I was like, okay, like God, like I really like need a laundry drying rack for my clothes. Like I need like whatever. Like I just don't want to schlep to the store to go get it. Like I would just love it. There was one that had a label that said free just right outside my house when I came home.
Appear, huh?
2 minutes later.
I know, things appear.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like, thanks, God. Like, that was great. Like, and I think that type of thing happens in Israel all the time. Like, yeah, obviously that's not something that you can prove, or like the fact that we're just here and every single day you witness a miracle, like seeing the views of Beit Shemesh or seeing like soldiers on the train, like learning Torah, like this is a straight up miracle. And the fact that
you are a miracle, my dear.
Everyone,
that's why you belong here.
Every single Jew who is here is a miracle. Like really, we are all here. That like generationally, like we shouldn't be here, and we are. And the fact that we walk around in our homeland, like, and we're here, like, Israel really, really just takes care of you if you believe that it will. Like God's not going to try and like, prove you wrong. Like, oh, let me just give you everything. Like just, to, just to prove you wrong. Like you got to believe it. You got to buy into it. And then once you do, it's the
gift that keeps giving.
Exactly.
Yes. I think it's a tremendous lesson on perception, on the way we take on our challenges. And I think it's just a beautiful way, the way you just look at the world. I always say when you live in Israel, just try not to look down. There's a lot of trash on the floor, whatever.
Yeah.
Just look here, eye level and up.
Exactly.
And that's what life is about, because there's always going to be trash. There's always going to be things that are uncomfortable, the things that...
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that we're all struggling with, that we wish we could hide, the things that we don't post on Instagram, the skeletons in our closet. All those things are real.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you cannot live an inspired, exciting life. And I truly believe, as someone who's as American as apple pie, I grew up telling people I'm from Southern Florida, and like there is something here that, and it's not because it's as fancy as Dubai, and it's not because it's as clean as anywhere. It's just the entire story plus the history, plus the strength of the people, the beautiful weather. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not in a deep freeze like everywhere else now. I mean, they're digging themselves out of New York now for a month.
Oh my God.
There's less Arabs in Beit Shemesh than there are in New York City. So ultimately, I mean, if you really think about it, when you look at someone like me, like Ariel, there should be no doubt in your mind that Aliyah is a good fit for your typical American, whether it's someone who grew up without religion, whether it's someone who grew up in Israel was just, a place to get a falafel. At the end of the day, it's so much more than that. It's really the answer to so many questions. It's the home to the Jewish people. And it's just a place where everyone's family. Like, I met you for the first time today, and you are my sister. And I love you. And I bless you that you should always be well and healthy and so on. That was amazing. Ariel, thank you so much for building a life visible enough that other people can see what's possible. That's not a small thing. I want to sit with something she said for a minute before I let you go. Because I think the question underneath all of this, underneath Aliyah, underneath Israel advocacy, underneath the choice to live inside a complicated country in a complicated time, is really a question about belonging, about what it costs to belong somewhere fully, about whether there's something worth belonging to that asks more of you than your convenience. Jewish history has always been about that question. The people who built this land, who fought for it, who are sitting in reserve duty right now for the third time this year, they're not there because they're comfortable. They're there because they believe this land is asking something of them. And the people who came from Oakland and Oakland adjacent places and said, yes, I'm coming, they heard the same ask from a different direction with a different accent, but the same ask. What does the land ask of you? It's not a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking you to sit with it, because the point of this episode isn't to make you feel guilty for not making Aliyah. It's not a PSA. It's not a recruitment pitch. It's an invitation to take seriously the idea that where you are physically and where you put your life is itself a moral question. Not the only moral question, but not a neutral one either. And Ariel Gold chose an answer. A beautiful, hard, costly, joyful answer, and that is worth something. You can find her at My Israel Life on Instagram. Follow her, not just for content, for proof of concept. For deeper conversations like this one, longer, slower, with less performed certainty, come find us at moraledge.com. This is where we let ideas breathe, where nuance isn't a liability, where we take seriously the idea that you can love something and still question it. This is the Weekly Squeeze Breakdown on Moral Edge. I'm Chanala.